There are moments in life when everything around you feels heavy, dark energy, betrayal, unexpected pain, and spiritual confusion. It's the kind of atmosphere that pulls people down, makes them bitter, and clouds their judgment. But every now and then you meet someone different. A man who moves through all of that with a kind of calm that doesn't make sense. He doesn't panic. He doesn't fall apart. He just keeps going. And if you look closer, it's as if something greater is walking with him. That man is the Sigma male, and sometimes it becomes clear that God is shielding him from darkness. This isn't about perfection. It's not about being a religious figure or living without mistakes. It's about divine covering. It's about protection that you can't always see, but it's real. It's about the quiet guidance, the unseen roadblocks, the inner peace that holds even when the world shakes. The Sigma male is already known for being different. He moves alone. He doesn't follow crowds. He trusts his own vision. But when you add spiritual awareness and divine connection to that, something powerful happens. He becomes untouchable, not in an arrogant way, but in a spiritual one. While others may chase fame, chaos, or validation, the Sigma walks in silence and clarity. And for reasons not always understood, he avoids traps, sees through lies, and comes out of hard seasons with more strength than he had before. That doesn't happen by luck. That's divine shielding. In this video, we're going to look at the signs that God is protecting a Sigma male from spiritual darkness. These are not things you can fake. They show up in real moments, through real decisions, and in the way a man carries himself when no one is watching. Some men fall into the trap. Some men become part of the chaos. But others are kept. Not because they're better, but because they're called. And when a man is called, God makes sure he can still walk when the world tries to break him. Let's begin with the first sign. Sign number 1, innate discernment in dark seasons. Some people walk into dark situations and don't even know it. They get caught up in charm, false promises, or twisted influence without ever realizing what they've stepped into. But the Sigma male who's under divine protection moves differently. He sees what others miss. Even in his silence, he feels the shift in energy. He knows when something isn't right, even if no one else can see it. And he doesn't need proof to walk away. He trusts what God has put inside him. This is discernment. And when it's spiritual, it's strong. Discernment isn't about paranoia. It's not about being negative or suspicious of everything. It's about knowing. It's that quiet voice inside that tells you when someone's smile doesn't match their spirit. When an opportunity looks right on paper but feels wrong in your soul. It's the ability to recognize darkness dressed as light. The Sigma male often feels out of place in certain environments. Not because he's weak, but because his spirit picks up on what others ignore. He may feel drained after being around certain people. He may suddenly lose interest in deals, friendships, or paths that looked perfect a week ago. That shift is not random. It's divine defense. God protects him by warning him early. And because the Sigma isn't caught up in crowd thinking, he hears those warnings clearly. He doesn't need group approval to change direction. He doesn't need validation to say no. That's what makes him hard to manipulate. While others are flattered into trouble, the Sigma watches. While others are talked into compromise, the Sigma steps back. He listens not just with his ears, but with his spirit. And when something feels off, he doesn't push through it. He lets it go. That kind of protection only works when a man is willing to move differently. And the Sigma male is built for that. He's not afraid to be misunderstood. He's not afraid to lose people. He's focused on staying aligned with what's right, even if it means walking alone. Discernment is one of the clearest signs that God is shielding a man. Not because he never faces darkness, but because he sees it coming and chooses not to walk into it. Sign number 2, unshakable inner peace. Amid chaos, most people lose their peace the moment things get uncomfortable. One betrayal, one failure, one unexpected change, and their whole world falls apart. But the Sigma male who's being protected by God has something else holding him together. His peace doesn't come from what's around him. It comes from something deeper. You can't buy this kind of peace. You can't fake it. It shows up when things go wrong, when people walk away, when plans fall through, when everything that should break him doesn't even shake him. That's not personality. That's protection. God shields the Sigma male not by keeping him out of the storm, but by keeping the storm out of him. This man doesn't avoid conflict. He faces it. He doesn't hide from struggle. He walks through it. But while others panic, he stays still. Not because he doesn't feel the pressure, but because something inside of him is louder than the noise around him. This kind of peace is spiritual. It comes from knowing you're not walking alone. It comes from trusting that even if things don't make sense, there's a reason, a lesson, a purpose. That trust doesn't remove pain, but it makes pain powerless. People often ask how he stays calm, how he keeps his head when others lose theirs. The answer isn't that he's stronger. The answer is that he's protected. He's not reacting to everything because he's not depending on everything. When you see a man sitting quietly in the middle of confusion, when you see someone who could have fought back but chose peace instead, when you see a man who keeps showing up even when everything says he should give up, you're looking at someone covered by grace. This kind of peace turns into a weapon. It blocks manipulation. It disarms attacks. It confuses enemies. Because the one thing darkness hates is a man who can't be shaken. The Sigma male doesn't brag about his peace. He doesn't explain it. He just lives it. And the more chaos surrounds him, the more that peace becomes obvious. That's how you know God is with him. He doesn't break like others, because he's not standing on the same ground. Sign number 3. Light attracted, darkness repelled. There are people who seem to attract drama, confusion, and trouble wherever they go. Then there are those who seem to carry something that pushes those things away without even trying. The Sigma male who is shielded by God often finds himself in the second group. Darkness doesn't sit comfortably around him. He doesn't have to fight everything. Sometimes his presence alone is enough to shift the energy in a room. People with bad intentions feel uneasy around him. They may not know why, but they start pulling back. Their influence fades. Their confidence drops. It's not because the Sigma is trying to intimidate, it's because his light confronts what they're trying to hide. God doesn't always protect a man by removing the enemy. Sometimes he strengthens the light within that man so much that the enemy can't even stay close. The Sigma male doesn't chase anyone. He doesn't try to win everyone over. He's focused, quiet, and real. And that realness exposes the fake. That purity exposes the hidden. People who manipulate others often avoid him. They feel exposed before they even speak. That's spiritual warfare, and the Sigma doesn't even need to raise his voice. This divine shielding isn't about being perfect. The Sigma still has flaws. He still makes mistakes. But his spirit is aligned with truth, and that alignment changes what sticks to him. He might walk into dark places, but darkness doesn't follow him home. He may encounter toxic people, but they rarely stay long. That's not random. That's God's filter. And it goes both ways. As darkness moves out of his life, light begins to find him. He attracts people who are growing, healing, and learning. He draws in truth, wisdom, and protection, not by chasing it, but by staying aligned with the values that keep him covered. His life starts to reflect order, not chaos. And the more he honors that covering, the stronger it becomes. People who don't understand this think it's luck. They think the Sigma just gets lucky avoiding certain disasters or drama. But the truth is, he's being kept. Not because he deserves it more, but because he walks in a way that invites it. His silence, his honesty, his distance from corruption, these are not just personality traits. They are part of the shield. Darkness can't attach to what it can't control. And the Sigma male, when spiritually aligned, is not controlled by anything but truth. Sign number 4. Close encounters with trials, but resistant. The Sigma male doesn't live a life without pain. In fact, many of them face more trials than the average person. But the difference is in how they handle those moments. They don't collapse under pressure. They don't lose themselves when things fall apart. They bend, but they don't break. That's not because they're superhuman. It's because they're being held up. God doesn't always remove the storm. Sometimes he lets it hit, just to prove it won't take you down. The Sigma male may get close to losing everything, but somehow he keeps moving. He may fall behind, but he always catches up. He may cry in private, but he never loses his purpose. This kind of resistance is a sign of divine protection. Trials will come. Failure will happen. People will betray him. Doors will close. But the Sigma doesn't stop. And that's not just discipline, it's spiritual reinforcement. Some of the strongest men didn't learn strength from books or speeches. They learned it in fire. And when you watch a man who's been through fire but still walks with peace, still speaks with wisdom, still serves with kindness, you're looking at someone who wasn't alone in that fire. There are times the Sigma male should have lost everything. But the timing shifted. Someone showed up. A decision changed. His mind cleared at the exact right moment. These moments aren't luck. They're patterns. And when you look at enough of them, you begin to see the fingerprints of God. It's not about avoiding pain. It's about pain not owning you. The Sigma doesn't wear his wounds like a badge. He doesn't talk about how hard it's been. But if you look at his life, you'll see scars. And what's amazing is how little bitterness he carries. He's not closed off, he's not hateful, and he's not driven by revenge. That mindset doesn't come from personal strength alone. It comes from divine healing. God lets him get close enough to the fire to learn, but never so close that he loses who he is. That's what shielding looks like. It doesn't stop the test. It makes sure the test doesn't stop the man. Sign number 5. Divine reinforcements, moments of rescue or help. Sometimes life hits so hard that there's no human explanation for how someone makes it through. The highly aware Sigma male can look back and point to moments that don't make sense on paper. A conversation that saved his mindset. A stranger who showed up at the right time. A door that opened when everything was about to fall apart. These are not just coincidences, they are reinforcements. God doesn't always show up with thunder and fire. Sometimes he moves through timing, through a person, through a quiet shift in direction that saves a man's entire future. The Sigma male, with all his independence, knows how to take care of himself. But he also knows he's not walking alone. And when things get dark, truly dark, something shows up. Not always big, not always loud, but just enough to keep him standing. This could be unexpected wisdom during confusion. It could be sudden protection from danger, It could be an idea that changes everything. And more than once, the Sigma has looked back and said, "That didn't happen by chance." These moments don't need to be dramatic to be real. Sometimes it's being too tired to go to an event that would have led to trouble. Sometimes it's a closed door that feels like failure, but later it's revealed as protection. The Sigma male doesn't just survive, he's redirected, recovered, rescued. God's reinforcements come when the man's strength is running out. And they remind him that even though he walks alone, he's never actually alone. To some people, these things are luck or timing. But the Sigma knows better. He pays attention. He remembers the patterns. And he trusts the guidance even when it doesn't look like help at first. Being shielded doesn't mean you don't struggle. It means that help always finds you when it matters most. And the Sigma male, whether he speaks on it or not, has felt that help more than once. That's what keeps his faith steady. That's what makes his path different. Because behind the strength there's a presence guiding him forward, quietly but with power. Sign number 6. Purpose that sits beyond selfish drives. The Sigma male who is shielded by God doesn't live only for himself. He may be independent. He may enjoy solitude. He may not need validation from others. But deep beneath that self-reliance is a quiet awareness that his life has meaning beyond his own goals. This man may not speak much about purpose. He may not be the type to post about destiny or calling. But if you watch how he moves, you'll see it. He turns down opportunities that would give him status, but cost him his peace. He avoids relationships that look good on the outside but feel spiritually wrong. He walks away from paths that offer profit but demand compromise. That's not just discipline. That's spiritual direction. A man who's being shielded by God begins to live for something higher. He starts to feel pulled by something he can't fully explain. It's not just about building a brand or making money or gaining influence. It's about walking in truth. It's about becoming a man who can be trusted with more, because he isn't chasing things that rot the soul. Purpose isn't always loud. Sometimes it shows up in small choices. Waking up early when no one's watching. Letting go of people who pull you backward. Serving others quietly. Creating things that bring healing, clarity, or order to the world around you. This is what separates a Sigma male from men who have talent but no focus. He may not move fast, but he moves intentionally. He doesn't copy others. He listens to the quiet voice within. And when the world tempts him to chase ego, he returns to what matters. That kind of purpose is evidence of divine covering. Because God doesn't protect a man just to keep him safe. He protects him to prepare him. He shields him because there's more ahead. Something important. Something eternal. And he won't let that man get distracted or destroyed before he gets there. The Sigma male doesn't have to be a preacher to be on mission. His purpose shows up in how he lives, how he speaks, how he treats others, how he stays grounded in a culture built on image. That kind of life doesn't just happen. It's shaped, forged, protected. And when a man lives for more than himself, darkness loses its grip. Because selfishness is where temptation hides. But purpose, that higher purpose, turns a man into a vessel God can use. That's why the final sign is so important. When you see a Sigma male who could be chasing the world but instead is building something honest, true and lasting, you're seeing a man who's been kept for more. There are men who move through the world untouched by the chaos around them. They don't avoid hardship. They don't live easy lives. But something follows them. Peace, clarity, protection, favor. And over time you realize it's not luck. It's not personality. It's God. The Sigma male stands out for his independence, his depth, and his quiet strength. But when you look closer, you start to see the signs of something greater. A covering. A presence. A light that moves with him even in the darkest seasons. He sees danger before it strikes. He keeps peace when others fall apart. He pushes away darkness without raising his voice. He survives trials that should have destroyed him. He receives help when no one else could have provided it. And above all, he lives for something more than himself. These are the signs. Not of perfection, but of protection. God doesn't choose men because they're flawless. He chooses them because they're willing, because they listen, because they walk away from what most people chase. And when that kind of man shows up, a Sigma, aware and aligned, God surrounds him, shields him, shapes him. If you've seen these signs in your own life, don't ignore them. You're being watched over. You're being prepared. You're being pulled into something deeper. Walk with awareness. Live with purpose. And don't let the noise of the world pull you off the path. If this video spoke to you, drop a comment and share what stood out. If you know someone walking this quiet, powerful road, send this to them. And if you're still figuring it out, stay close, stay grounded, and stay covered. Because when God shields a man, nothing can break him.